Hello everyone, welcome to Hoagies and Pierogis. This is going to be a fun one. Before we start, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify, and rate us 5 bitten apples out of 5 bitten apples on Apple. All right, the NFL report cards came out last week. The NFL Combine was this past weekend. The NFL deadline to franchise tag players was on Tuesday, and the NFL. All right, before we get to the NFL, we have another sports equinox where I talk about all 4 major U.S. sports: hockey in a football stadium, anime and basketball, Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, comedians in college football 25, wacky crossovers all over the place. This has been a very peculiar week, to say the least. I have 13 pages of notes. I think that's the most ever for a podcast, so this is going to be a long one. Buckle in, this is number 143 of HN'P.
Live from Central Pennsylvania with your host Ian DiCarlo, this is Hoagies and Pierogis.
The ski stash! The ski stash!
Welcome to the Big Ten.
Beecher's going drink, man. Let's go!
All right, let's start out with some hockey. The NHL was having their stadium series this past weekend of Detroit and Columbus at Ohio State in the shoe. That was awesome. Not exactly the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry we've all grown accustomed to, but this will do. They took an awesome drone fly-through of the setup beforehand, and I think they did this last year for the outdoor game, but I'm not quite sure. I might be misremembering that. So yeah, playing in a football stadium is really cool, but when there are no fans around the glass, it really feels like you're watching sports during COVID. And Detroit's goalie was wearing a puffball hat. I think he had it like sewn onto the top of his goalie helmet. That was really cool. 21 Pilots kind of rocked the first intermission. That was really good. Someone tweeted out that it was actually better than the Kendrick halftime show, and that made me chuckle. But after that is when I stopped paying attention. The Blue Jackets won 5-3 against the Red Wings. The level of play was certainly lower than the Four Nations Cup. I don't think the Red Wings or Blue Jackets are all that great this year. But you definitely just got to watch it for the spectacle. I mean, like I said, level of play, not up to par, but seeing the puffball hat made it all worth it. We got a lot of quick hits today, so this might actually go fast. I actually don't know how long this will be. All right, let's move on to some basketball. And we had an awesome buzzer beater with the number 5 team beating the number 6 team. Tennessee beat Alabama 79-76. Texas A&M also beat number 1 Auburn 83-72, and number 23 BYU beat number 10 Iowa State 88-85 in double overtime on the road on Tuesday night. I am so ready for March Madness. This year is going to be awesome. All right, on to some professional basketball, even though, it's all professional nowadays, I guess. Joel Embiid is out for the season for the 76ers. You keep him out, the team sucks. You play him, he gets injured. The 76ers really just cannot get it right. When are you just going to give up and trade him? I mean, really. In other injury news, Kyrie Irving tore his ACL on Monday night. He ended up making 2 free throws on it, which was impressive as fuck. But the Mavs keep going downhill since they traded away Luka. Oh, Kyrie tore his ACL? Fire Nico. There's a lot of speaking ofs. So speaking of Luka, the Lakers had a one-piece night. I was already thinking about bandwagoning, but this might have sealed the deal. They played this video on the Jumbotron at the arena. So not only was it One Piece night where they were handing out stuff to fans like a straw hat, it was also Luka's 26th birthday, and he dropped 31 points against the Clippers as they won 106-102, and it was the Lakers' 5th straight win. 26 years old. That is so dumb. I cannot believe Nico Harrison is still the GM of the Mavs. That is egregious. On Tuesday night, LeBron reached 50,000 points, regular and postseason combined, the only player to do so. Maybe if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander keeps getting 50-point games, he'll get there soon. All right, baseball, let's go. For the first time this year, we got to see our King Paul Skeens. I gotta say, I'm not digging the Amish beard mustache combo. The soul patch is fine. Like, I can get behind that little soul patch, but the lunch lady hairnet needs to go. If there's anything Skeens needs to work on, it's throwing to the bases. A bad throw to second turned into a bad decision by Solak that led to the ball going past first base, allowing a run to score. If Skeens would have thrown it, accurately at second base, that would have been an easy double play. Liover Peguero also sailed one in the third inning, so this infield defense is going to be miserable. Oh, but there it was in the third inning. We heard rumors, and we got to see it. When I first saw it, I was literally like, oh, what the fuck was that? Back up. Paul Skeens debuted his cutter against the Orioles, and it was nasty.
But I just think you just fall in that kind of a slump, and you just get in these bad habits, and you're pressing, and he wasn't the only.
There was no speed for the pitches on the Orioles broadcast. I don't even know if there was any in the park. But if I had to guess, that thing was going at least 94 miles an hour with disgusting glove side break. Oh, that was coming right at you as a lefty. You think it's going to be a fastball going away from you a little bit, but then it's a cutter straight in towards your stomach. Oh, that has to scare the shit out of you. Did we ever go over the Orioles moving back in their left field wall after moving it out just a couple years ago? They mentioned it on the broadcast, and I couldn't remember if I said anything about it or not. It ended up only hurting their hitters. So they got rid of a bunch of seats, and now we're moving the wall back without putting more seats back in. The Skeens ended up going 3 innings here with 4 hits, a walk, and 4 Ks on 54 pitches, and they gave him a long leash. I was really surprised he went back out there for the 3rd inning, especially since this was his first start of the spring. One word to describe Skeens' first start, it would be laboring. That looked like a lot of his starts later in the year last year, where he would rack up like 50 to 60 pitches in the first 3 innings, then just cruise through the next 3, and then left in the 7th inning with 100 pitches. Needs to be a little bit more efficient in the first 3 innings there. Honestly, he may have the opposite problem that a lot of pitchers have. I think he has problems going through the lineup the first time as opposed to going through it a 3rd time. Also in that game, O'Neal Cruz had a home run that would have been a pop-up in foul territory anywhere besides Florida. And then also had a diving catch in center field. That's our center fielder. But he might not have to be in center field for long. Connor Griffin, go-ahead home run, gold. We have struck gold. Connor Griffin is him, and he was just reassigned to minor league camp, but that was expected. He's 18 years old. He was not going to make the major league roster his first year in the league. On Sunday, Jerry Jones also had some disgusting stuff, and if he throws that changeup more this season, I think that'll do well for him.
3 years ago.
All right, other little bit of baseball news. Rob Manfred is seriously considering removing Pete Rose from the all-time ban list. What on earth prompted this? He died back in September. It's a little late to acknowledge it now. Manfred, you might have gotten at least a little bit of sympathy if you announced you were considering this like the week after his passing. But this just makes you look like an idiot, to be honest with you. He only bet on his team to win. He should be unbanned. It would be one thing if that he just bet on his team as a player, but he was making these bets as a player manager, which, in itself is a huge conflict of interest. It should not have been allowed in the first place. So he had the freedom to move his ace pitcher, his number 1 pitcher, anywhere on any day that he wanted to as the manager. And if that didn't work out, he could just dump the whole bullpen in the game trying to win it, therefore screwing your team for the next couple of days. He wasn't betting on every game. He was just betting on the ones he knew he could win based on starting pitcher matchup. So yeah, part of it was betting on himself because he would at least get 2 hits per game. But since he was the manager too, he could manipulate the lineups any way he wanted. That is a huge problem. All right, I think that's all I had for baseball. Let's get into football, starting with some college news. A little bit of college news this week. So on Thursday, we found out that UNC would be featured on Hard Knocks off-season. It could not have been any better. UNC initially was approached because no NFL team wanted to be on after the Giants debacle last year. I don't think any other team is that stupid, though, and whoever did it would have been totally fine. But, of course, we can never have anything nice. On Tuesday, we found out that UNC pulled out of the deal, and there probably won't be a Hard Knocks off-season this year. Yeah, it might have been a bad idea to put a bunch of 17, 18, 19-year-olds on HBO anyway, so they probably dodged a bullet. All right, we got some news out of the ACC here. Florida State and Clemson settled their lawsuit with the conference over wanting to leave. The countdown until 2030 and the death of the ACC starts now. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I don't know fully what this means. But let's just stop with the bullshit. I like the idea of just making college football two conferences, East and West. No reason to have someone like Washington come all the way to New Jersey to play Rutgers. No one cares about that game. Just make it less of a logistical nightmare for all schools and athletes involved. All right, now for college football, the video game, they're adding Shane Gillis to the Ultimate Team mode. As a 99 overall linebacker. Oh, that's gold. It's like a what if series if they played the sport until they made it pro or something. I think that's hilarious. And of course, it's a Notre Dame card. Okay, so this week we had the NFL Combine. We'll go over that first. We'll go over the grades for the report cards after this. So I'm just going to go over the players that I mentioned to watch last week, and then one player from each position group that I kind of found intriguing. All right, so on day one, defensive linemen, linebackers. Let's start out with Mason Graham, defensive lineman out of Michigan. So he decided to only do the bench press, and he shouldn't have even done that. But I'm glad he did. 24 reps at 225 pounds. Now, I'm not going to, again, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I probably couldn't even do one. But the average reps for a lineman at the Combine is 30 to 39 reps. Defensive linemen are probably on the lower side of that, but he wasn't even particularly close to the low end. 28, I would have said, you know what, fine. I knew it would be a little low, but 24 reps is dog shit. His measurables were also dog shit. Definitely not big enough at 6'3", 297. He was listed at 320 pounds at Michigan. They're even cheating the measurements over there. So he definitely is not big enough to be that immovable object you want in the middle of the line. He has short little 32-inch arms, and he didn't have nearly enough sack production to warrant taking him so high at number 4. I'm out on Mason Graham. J.J. Pegues was another defensive lineman I said to look out for from Ole Miss. He got out fast like an offensive lineman on that 40. And I'm not talking he got out of the gate fast. He went straight up really fast. He might be a good pickup in the 3rd or 4th round, especially since you can move him around and do a whole bunch of different stuff with him. But he's pretty slow. Shamar Stewart definitely improved his stock here. 4'6", 4'5", 40. Great for a linebacker. 10-foot 11-inch broad jump. I believe 10.5 or 10'9" is considered elite or something. And then 40-inch vertical with 40-plus inches being considered elite. Even though he didn't have that sack production, he's got these awesome explosive traits about him. Now, someone I didn't mention to watch out for, but I probably should have, and he was actually projected to be number 1 before the season began. James Pierce Jr., edge rusher out of Tennessee, 4'5", 4'47", 40. But that is insanely fast. He looked fluid in all of his drills. Why is he not on the Patriots' radar if they trade back? If the Steelers are willing to move up to number 4 for Shadur Sanders, which his stock took a little bit of a tank this weekend, I think Pierce would be who would take at Pittsburgh's spot. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen now. So James Pierce, he's been mocked to the Eagles, which would be insane. They would be getting away with murder if they got James Pierce Jr. in the draft. All right, day 2, didn't have a lot of people here. I just had Harold Fannin Jr. and Travis Hunter didn't participate. So Harold Fannin ran a 4.73, 4.71 40. That's a little bit slower than I would have liked to see for him not being a blocker at all. Like I said, Travis Hunter didn't participate, but he did, however, say that playing both defensive and offense is harder than Shohei pitching and hitting. I'm going to have to say I agree with him there. You don't bat every single inning, You're just sitting on the bench in between taking your time to pitch. And when Shohei's not pitching, he's DHing, so he's not even in the field on his days off. Huge standout from day 2. Nick Imanwari, a safety out of South Carolina. 6'3", 220 pounds. Huge safety. 4'4", 4'3", 40. Fast as fuck. 43-inch vertical. 43 fucking inches. And an 11-foot, 6-inch broad jump. Holy shit. Patriots. Trade back up into the first round for this guy. Whoa. Had no idea about Nick Imanwari at all. After looking at previous mocks, he was kind of in the teens, so he might be approaching that top 10 status. So if the Patriots can trade back, that might also be a name to look out for. All right, day 3, we had quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. Jackson Dart, 6'2", 223, a little bit undersized for what you want to see from a quarterback. No 40. He made most of his throws, looked really smooth, and did exactly what everyone expected of him. Didn't wow or anything like that, but he did what he needed to do, and that should be enough for a team to take him on day 2. He's probably a second-round quarterback. All right, next up was Jalen Milroe, and at 6'2", 217, he's a little bit shorter than I thought he was. But why did Milroe not run the 40? Like, what? That was the only thing I wanted to see him do. I'm still kind of a believer in Milroe, but he definitely did get the yips after the Georgia game last year. He was still sailing a lot of those balls in the combine, and it seemed like he didn't know what to do to correct it. Honestly, he'll probably end up being like he might go round 3, but he's more likely a round 4, round 5 guy. And that's crazy because I was literally on here saying that he was a shoo-in for top 10 after that Georgia game. What a fall from grace. That's crazy. But to be honest with you, I must not know what I'm looking at all because I thought Will Howard looked horrible, but he was in Daniel Jeremiah's top performers of the combine. So I guess. I mean, that's probably one who should have waited until his pro day anyway. Tyler Shaw was one of only 3 quarterbacks to run the 40, and he called himself White Lightning after running a 4.64. Brady Cook and Seth Hannigan were the only other quarterbacks who ran it. Okay, so like I was saying about Shedur's stock kind of tanking a little bit, he didn't participate, as I said last week, we knew that, but he showed up to the combine acting like he owned the place. He had an answer to a question that was basically, do you know who my father is? And that definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. When he was talking to Andrew Kremer during the quarterback drills, he almost seemed high.
What are you most proud of your leadership qualities?
I'm just proud that, my first time and my only time coming to the NFL Combine, I'm able to enjoy it with my guys because was on the phone with them making a decision, like helping them, saying, come be a part of this. I'm telling you.
His stock is in a free fall, and there were actually very strong rumors of the Giants moving up to number 1 to leapfrog the Browns in order to take Cam Ward to not be stuck with Shedur. And some people are saying he won't even go until the late first round, or possibly even the second. I know this is a weak quarterback class, and teams usually reach on quarterbacks, but Sanders is scaring him away enough that I don't know. Is he doing this on purpose? It doesn't seem like a good strategy. All right, running backs I had to look out for were Jaden Blue, Ollie Gordon II, and Cam Scatabo. Of course, Ashton Genty didn't participate. God damn it. Jaden Blue was looking pretty fast. 4.4, 4.39 40s. Ollie Gordon, on the other hand, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, was looking slow. 4.61, 4.62 40. Oh my God. That was a slow first 10. I don't know what the split was, but it looked horrible. Scatterbush showed out, though. A 10-foot 3-inch broad jump and a 39.5-inch vertical for being 5 foot 9 inches is crazy. That vertical is 93rd percentile of all running backs ever in the combine. He didn't run the 40, but we didn't really need to see that. Who knew this little meatball had the hops to go along with that brutal running style? I mean, I guess we should have known. Some of those jump cuts he had in the playoff games against Texas were nasty. I think Bashal Tootin, running back out of Virginia Tech, was the running back that improved his stock the most, running a 4.32 with a 40.5-inch vertical and a 10-foot 10 broad jump. It's safe to say he's going to be a steal in the draft. Okay, Isaiah Bond out of Texas, wide receiver, saying he would run a 4.2 and then running a 4.41, 4.40 is fucking hilarious. That is so slow. Someone tweeted that Texas is going to get in a lot of trouble for having a 39-yard track. Matthew Golden, however, was a lot closer and ran a 4.29. Our next wide receiver is Luther Burden III, 6 foot, 4.42 40. He looked a little rigid, almost like he had to slow down to concentrate on catching the ball in the gauntlet drill. The concentration on those catches, it doesn't seem like a bad thing, but he didn't look as fluid as I would have liked to see. He caught everything thrown his way except for one ball from Will Howard, who still, in my opinion, had a terrible day, as I said earlier. But Luther Burden kind of reminds me of A.J. Brown a little bit in size and play style. I would definitely take him if he's available in round 2. Next on the radar, we had Trey Harris, who ran a 4.54 40. That's the only thing of note that I had here. Honestly, a boring prospect, which might be a good thing. He seems to do everything just kind of average. Next on the list was Jimmy Horn Jr. out of Colorado. He ran a 4.47, 4.46 40, but I thought he looked faster than Isaiah Bond, who ran a 4.41. But this is what I mean when I say fluid during drills. Horn didn't miss a step catching these balls. He didn't catch all of them, but he looked a lot better than Burden in the fluid department. Big pause. All right, then also on the list, I had Nick Nash to look out for, but I didn't realize he was 40 years old. No, he's going to be 25 soon, but 4.58 40. I would have liked to see a little bit faster from him. Watch out for Dante Thornton Jr. Oh my God, nearly 6'5" with a 4.3 flat 40. Take him? That seems like a round 3 pick if I ever heard of one. Thornton also looked good in the gauntlet drills. Very smooth. All right, on to day 4 in the offensive lineman. I did like what I saw out of Calvin Banks Jr. from Texas. 6'5", 315, 33.5 inch arms, so he can stay at left tackle. A little slow, but not choppy, fluid movement. Now, is 7/8 of an inch really going to be the make or break between Banks and Will Campbell? It might. Will Campbell, 32 5/8 inch arms. Kiss that number 4 pick goodbye, buddy. You want a tackle to have at least 33 inch arms at the bare minimum to deal with edge rushers, or you'll get moved inside to guard, and we're not taking a guard at number 4. Only one guy that has had arms as short as Will Campbell's has stuck a tackle in the history of knowing these measurements, and that was Michael Ruse back in 2005. Now, he's athletic, 9'6" broad jump, 32 inch vertical is pretty good for an offensive lineman. 1.76 10 split, and then a 5-second flat and 4.98 flat on his 40s is pretty good. That's athletic. And we stumbled a lot during the wave drill where you start on your back, then go back and forth, side to side. What was that? For him to say it's all in the feet when it comes to blocking, and then he pulls that shit is pretty funny. He looks big and soft rather than big and beefy. It almost looks like he has loose skin from losing a bunch of weight. But he's 320 pounds. That's also a little too soft-spoken for me. I want someone that's going to rip players to shreds. Like Tyler Booker said, his goal is to make the other player he's defending against not want to play football. Now, you really can't ignore the fact that Banks has 42 starts and Campbell has 38 starts at left tackle. Huge need for the Patriots. All right, next up in the second group of offensive linemen, I had Wyatt Milam from West Virginia. Big man, also short arms, though. Pretty slow as well on his 40s. 5.28 on both 40s with a 1.87 and 1.84 10 split. Mike McDaniel really liked that time, though, and he reacted in the most McDaniel way possible. RJ said that I looked like him, but now McDaniels is starting to look a lot like RJ. What is going on? But yeah, Milam is a bulky boy and moves awkwardly. Last player I had to look out for the offensive line. And of course, I just chose everyone that had short arms. Tate Ratledge had 32.25 inch arms, but he was projected a guard anyway, so it didn't really matter. Good in a straight line, he had a 1.72 10 split and a 4.97 40, but he was a little slow in transition on the wave drills, especially forward and backward. Offensive lineman that was already looking good, but has improved his stock even more, was Armand Membu, and he was screaming to end his 40. He also ran under 5 seconds. Will Campbell and Armand Membu are now 2 of 4 offensive linemen at the Combine since 2003 that weighed in at 315 plus pounds with a 30 plus inch vertical and a sub 5 second 40, joining Tristan Wirfs and Trent Williams. That's pretty good company to be in. Membu might be that pick at number 4, especially since Ronnie Staley just became available today. Membu has the size and the arm length to stay at tackle. Even though he's a right tackle, he could definitely stay there. I could see that happening. 6'4", 332 pounds, 33.5 inch arms. Gray Zabel might also be a guy to look out for. He was a Senior Bowl standout, and I don't know if it will transition to the new staff, but the Patriots love their Senior Bowl guys. Zabel is very smooth and can play anywhere on the line except for center. Huge at 6'6", 312 pounds. Also has short arms, shorter than Campbell's, in fact, at 32 inches. But the thing I like about Zabel is that versatility to put him anywhere on the line, as opposed to Campbell or Banks, who have only ever played left tackle. During the lineman drills, Rich Eisen was getting so mad at the guy pointing, telling the lineman which direction to break on the screen drill. He was pointing way too late and almost got run over twice. The coaches kept yelling at the players to not decelerate, but it was because the guy wasn't pointing fast enough. All right, so no Ashton Genty, no Travis Hunter, no Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward, Tyler Warren, Abdul Carter, Jack Sawyer. It was crazy the amount of top players that sat out. But you know what? I think having a crowd at the Combine might play into this. I didn't realize fans were allowed in the building at all. I would rather work out on my pro day in that case as well. I don't want a bunch of fans watching me in one of my most important workouts ever. Get the fans out of the building for the Combine. General fans do not need to see this. It's on TV. That's good enough. All right. Other news that came out during the Combine. Abdul Carter had a stress reaction in his right foot, which is why he wasn't participating. But doctors told him surgery is not required to fix it, which he was afraid it was, and he should still be ready for his pro day. That's definitely good news on his part. Oh, and this is the best news. Finally, the NFL is switching to electronic measurement. Let's go. Again, and I've said this already 5-6 times. They can measure the seam of a baseball passing through the strike zone. Don't try to sell me that they can't put a chip in the ball and recreate a 3D image of it to see if any part of it crossed the first down line or the end zone. Thank the Lord. This is way overdue. It was announced that the salary cap officially landed at $279.2 million for 2025. I mean, but my God, when is there going to be is there going to be a limit at all? Next year is probably not going to be as big of a jump as it was this year, but we also said that last year. So this is what caused a whole flurry of moves to happen. Stafford was staying in LA on a restructured deal, so there's one quarterback off the board. Debo to the Commanders for a 5th-round pick. He really is cooked if it's just a 5th-rounder. $17 million with this increased cap is nothing. And then also, Saquon definitely got rewarded. We heard about it way too much after the Super Bowl, or leading into the Super Bowl, that he was being way underpaid. Well, here you go. Saquon's the first $20 million per year running back in the league. The Eagles gave him a 2-year, $41 million extension with up to $15 million in incentives and $36 million guaranteed at signing. And that's on top of the current contract he already has. This is well-deserved for Barkley. So the deadline to franchise tag players came and went today at 4 p.m. We're doing this. It's almost 6 o'clock now. So the Bengals franchise tag T. Higgins, not a surprise, and did so with the intent of continuing to work toward a long-term deal. The only other tag that happened was the Kansas City Chiefs tagging Trey Smith. So the notable non-tags were Sam Darnold and Ronnie Stanley. This was a huge domino for the Patriots. The Patriots were reportedly out on Higgins before this was even announced, and were all in on bulking up the O-line and the D-line, which has now become a little more clear since Mason Graham's stock just tanked. Will Campbell has T-Rex arms, and Ronnie Stanley is set to hit free agency unless he gets an extension done with the Ravens by next Wednesday, which I just realized this is going to fuck me for recording next week. And I did want to mention that this arm length proportion is not blown out of size for Will Campbell. Out of the 24 offensive linemen that were listed as tackles in the Combine, he was tied for 21st out of 24 of them. But hell, I think if the Patriots can sign Ronnie Stanley, you take Membu at number 4 if Carter and Hunter are gone. I don't think it would be a reach if you're not guaranteed to get him if you trade back down. But also what's interesting here is that apparently the Patriots asked about A.J. Brown at the Combine, according to Matthew Berry, so this isn't just some random source, and are all in on trying to get Drake May a wide receiver 1. That is what I want to hear. Let's go. Overpay the fuck out of Ronnie Stanley. Overpay Chris Godwin, even though he's in just an injury basket. Trade for that linebacker from Tennessee that requested a trade. Draft Membu. You'll be perfect. You'll be set. It will be awesome. That Ronnie Stanley news of him not being franchise tag is huge. It is amazing. DK Metcalf has officially requested a trade after they let go of Tyler Lockett and would prefer to go to a contender. The Patriots will be a contender, so they should definitely try to pry him from Seattle. The Raiders signed Max Crosby to a 3-year, $106.5 million deal with $91.5 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the league until Jamar Chase puts pen to paper on his new deal. This is only bad for the Cowboys and the Bengals as they now have to hand out a bag to Parsons and Hendrickson, respectively. This may actually fuck the Bengals the most because they will likely not be able to give Hendrickson what he wants. Oh, during the Combine, Pro Football Talk tweeted, Juiciest rumor from the combine so far. Aaron Rodgers has reached out to the Giants, which, if true, suggests he's not getting much, if any, interest from contenders like the Steelers. Well, the Jets just released Devontae Adams, so if Rodgers goes to the Giants, likely so will Adams. But the thing that stuck out about that tweet is them saying the Steelers are contenders? How are the Steelers contenders? They just ranked 28th on their report cards for the second year in a row. That's right, this year's NFL report cards have been released. Let's go. All right, so the surveys were conducted from August 26th through November 20th, with 1,695 players participating, which averages out to almost 53 players from each team. The grades range from A+ to F-, with the owner having a 15% weight, head coach having a 10% weight, and the rest of the categories: treatment of families, food and dining area, nutritionist, locker room, training room, training staff, weight room, strength coaches, and team travel are all at 9% weight. All right, let's go through these by overall ranking, starting with number 1. And I just have one or two things to say about these. I don't have a whole paragraph about each one. Number 1, Miami Dolphins. They stay put at number 1 from last year. Dolphins are number 1 for the second year in a row. A's across the board, except at QB, where they got a C, a T, and an E. Pretty easy to score high when you're in Miami. In their overview, it says they don't grade the locker room, yet it's clearly listed in the categories that are graded. Number 2, Minnesota Vikings. Stay put from number 2 last year. Their only gripe is wanting a larger variety of food in the facility. Are they finally tired of the fridges full of Uncrustables? I think the fact that I'll retain from this one is that their owner's name is Ziggy Wilf. That's probably the coolest name for an owner. Z-Dubs. Z-Dubs sounds like something Buffalo Wild Wings might try to rebrand to. Hey kids, come on down to Z-Dubs. We're totally cool and not out of touch at all. Z-Dubs. Number 3, Atlanta Falcons, up 22 from number 25. The Falcons ranked 3rd overall despite a ventilation issue in the locker room that seems to cause a persistent odor. That isn't going to change until the team stops stinking it up on the field. It's like the Falcons are SpongeBob and the stink from the locker room is the maniac. Falcons,
I see him
Where is he, Patrick?
at the intersection of Conch and Coral.
That's where I am. He's right on top of me, but I can't see him. What's he doing?
He's just standing there.
Stinkingly. Number 4, Las Vegas Raiders, up 5 from number 9. The Raiders rank extremely high in all categories, with almost no complaints besides needing more parking passes for their families. There isn't an employee-family parking lot? Maybe the team is in a cycle of mediocrity because they just got rid of their A- coach. Pete Carroll should do a fine job, though. I don't think that's going to be an issue. Number 5, Los Angeles Chargers, up 25 from number 30. The Chargers made the biggest jump from last year, going from 30th all the way up to 5th, thanks to a new training facility. Replacing Brandon Staley with Harbaugh only upped the head coach grade from B to B+, with more players saying he's less receptive to feedback than Staley, and only 55% of players felt he was efficient with their time. How is that a B+? Does Harbaugh have Connor Stallions on these rankings somehow? For context, the Giants and Bucks both have a B+ for their head coach. Brian Daboll is at 90% efficient with their time, and Todd Bowles is at 100% efficiency with their time. Hell, his own brother got a B and is at 75%. Number 6, Houston Texans, up 1 from 7. The post-game family area is outdoors, in Houston, in August and September. They have a whole dome and they can't gather their family in there after games? What, do they have a hard out? Is Energy Stadium booking shows right after football games? This is also where teams start to get cheap and don't put some of the largest men in the country in first class for every flight. Number 7, Green Bay Packers, down 4 from number 3. The first team to drop is the Packers, and I think that's more so because of the other teams getting newer, fancier stuff more recently. Going from 3 to 7 isn't bad. The weight room is lacking, but that's not the only WR that's in need of some improvement in Green Bay. Number 8, San Francisco 49ers, down 2 from number 6. The 49ers are the first one on the list to charge for childcare. But why? Do they need to go through a third party? Are the carers not employed by the team? At first, I kind of really cared and was almost offended on their behalf. But then I saw they're charging $40 per kid for daycare during games. Are they really complaining about $40? Stop having so many damn kids. Even then, you need 10 for it to even cost $400. I thought this was some year-long thing where you had to pay thousands of dollars in lump sum for the entire year. And no. It's like $320 to $360 depending on if you have 8 or 9 home games. A lot of these players are willing to catch a $7,000 fine for throwing the ball into the stands, but they're not willing to pay $40 for their child to be taken care of? What? Their showers and saunas also break frequently. Next. Number 9, Detroit Lions, up 4 from number 13. The only thing the overview had as a negative at the beginning was that the lockers are outdated, yet 75% of them felt they had enough room in their own locker, and 94 of them agreed that the locker room as a whole was big enough. Maybe they're just old lockers? Some of these rankings don't make sense. Number 10, Dallas Cowboys, up 2 from number 12. Jerry must be paying these guys to give good answers. How in the hell did he get a B? Much like the Raiders, their head coach got an A and was let go to end the year. I know that the entirety of the football world, love to hate Mike McCarthy, but the players seem to actually love him. A third of the players reported ongoing plumbing issues, so maybe now that McCarthy is gone, the problem will be solved. I bet he laid some fat cow patties in the halls of Jerry World. Number 11, Washington Commanders, up 21 from number 32. It's not surprising that the Commanders made a big leap, but I'm surprised it wasn't the biggest leap. The upgrades that made the most difference this year were adding daycare and switching from Ron Rivera to Dan Quinn. Players really seem hesitant to rank the head coach lower than a C, and that's what Rivera got last year. A+ for Dan Quinn this year. That's first out of all coaches. Dan Snyder must be fuming. Number 12, New Orleans Saints, up 7 from number 19. Speaking of terrible owners, you know this ownership will get an F- from me. But their head coach got fired halfway through the season, and he still got a B+. If you didn't believe me about Rivera only getting a C, you should now. The dining area is what really hit them hard with the D-. They still haven't converted it back into a cafeteria after turning it into a hideout where they sheltered the pedo priest of the New Orleans Archdiocese. No mole sauce in that dining hall, just the sauce as a result of molesting. Number 13, Baltimore Ravens, up 2 from number 15. From the overview. Once again, the Baltimore Ravens finish in the middle of the pack with no significant weaknesses. It seems the team provides a very solid workplace environment for their players. They're doing the best they can for being in Baltimore. That surrounding area by the stadium can get a little dicey if you stray a little bit too far. This might be Baltimore's peak ranking. Number 14, Chicago Bears, up 4. Number 14, Chicago Bears, down 4 from number 10. The overview straight up says that the report cards are what got Matt Eberflus fired, and that is hilarious. After the team completed the survey, the Bears terminated Eberflus and hired Ben Johnson as their new head coach. That is brutal. And he's still got a C. Why are players not willing to go lower than that? I'm starting to wonder if coaches can even get under a C. 59% of players felt Eberflus was efficient with their time. How does Harbaugh have a lower efficiency? What? Was he having stroke symptoms during meetings and spacing out? Like, what? How did Harbaugh get a B+ with 55%? That is baffling me. Number 15, Seattle Seahawks, down 1 from number 14. The Seahawks' biggest complaint was not having a big enough tub room. I think it's funny to picture two of their biggest guys trying to squeeze into one ice bath. More tubs are on their way next year. Number 16, Tennessee Titans, up 2 from number 18. After hiring Ainsley Moore as Director of Player and Family Affairs, the Titans went from a D+ to a B+ in the treatment of their families. Maybe Harrison Butker was right. Leave it to a woman to deal with the family. Number 17, Denver Broncos, down 1 from number 16. Much in the way that Houston needs an indoor family space, the Broncos need one to keep families away from the cold and weed smoke. The main complaint was their locker room, and I must not get it because I looked up a picture and it looked like every other NFL locker room that I've ever seen. Number 18, Jacksonville Jaguars, down 13 from number 5. The Jags said, fuck your family. You can get them in and get them on the sideline by yourself if you can afford it. They are one of 10 teams to not have any type of family room. 57% of the players felt like Peterson was efficient with their time. Eberflus and Peterson were both fired, so Harbaugh should probably watch out if he doesn't win a playoff game. This is if he doesn't retire from medical issues first. When nearly half the players think you're wasting their time, change is imminent. Number 19, Indianapolis Colts, up 3 from 22. The Colts are the first team on the list to have the players fly coach and the coaches fly first class. The players should ride the coaches to away games and see how they feel afterwards. Number 20, New York Giants, down 12 from number 8. John Mara is what really tanked them from 8 to 20, going from a B+ to a C+. And maybe the nutrition? I think there's not a whole lot of separation in these rankings, and something like ownership going down a letter grade being weighted so heavily will probably tank your ranking. Well, Mara certainly deserves it after getting rid of Saquon and killing off Hard Knocks. Number 21, Los Angeles Rams, down 1 from 20. It's really hard to build nice permanent facilities when there's a real chance of them burning down. From the overview, the Rams have been in temporary facilities the past 9 years with no clear timeline of the construction for a permanent facility. Rams players have to pay for daycare as well, but are better off dropping their kids down the road in San Francisco, where it is $35 less for the first child and $10 less for each subsequent one. If this was the NBA, this next piece of information might just be damning. The team won't relay information to baby mamas. You have to be a significant other to get any information on the child. All right, number 22, Philadelphia Eagles down 18 from number 4. The Eagles dropped 18 spots in the middle of a Super Bowl winning season. What? The furthest drop of any team. They are one of only 3 teams without daycare services, but they do have a family room to make up with it. They gave Howie Roseman a B? Eagles, what are you smoking? Again, though, the players not getting first-class seats doesn't make any sense. Number 23, Buffalo Bills, down 12 from number 11. Even the auxiliary staff flies first class with the Bills, but still no players. Nearly all the things on the Bills report card were brought up last year, but none of it was addressed by Terry Pegula, the owner of the team. This isn't the Sabres, Terry. Pay up. Number 24 is Cincinnati Bengals, up 2 from number 26. How are they not 32nd? The Bengals said hide your kids, hide your wife, and don't bring them to the stadium. They are the only team without a daycare facility or a family room. One of only 2 teams to not provide 3 meals a day, and their nutritionist is only available 2 days out of the week because the Bengals won't hire her as a full-time employee. Dead last in 3 categories with a C in ownership, which is ranked 25th. How? And up 2 spots? Huh? Are these last 8 teams really that bad? No, I don't think so. Number 25, Carolina Panthers, down 8 from number 17. David Tepper graded out as a D- and is in serious contention for the worst owner in the league. 29th in perceived willingness to invest in team facilities, 31st in providing a positive culture, and players feel he is somewhat committed to building a competitive team, putting him dead last, 32 of 32. When you get into fights with fans, this isn't surprising. What is surprising is the Panthers are ranked ahead of the Chiefs. Number 26, Kansas City Chiefs, up 5 from number 31 last year. You would think that back-to-back Super Bowl champions would get better accommodation for home games than the Best Western Plus in the Kansas City Sports Complex. You could plop this beauty on the boardwalk in Ocean City, Maryland, and it would fit right in. Players said they often kept their shoes on in the room because the floors are dirty and sticky. A Best Western is a Best Western. The word plus is doing no lifting there. This is why I'm going through these one by one, for gold nuggets like that. All right, number 27, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, down 3 from number 24. The persistent issue with these teams at the bottom seems to be their owners. That, and nearly half the players in Tampa reported there being plumbing issues and poor ventilation leading to a persistent bad smell. Pirates smell bad. Get used to it. Number 28, Pittsburgh Steelers. Stay put at number 28 from last year. The Steelers were the only team whose ranking didn't change outside of the top 2, and that's impressive. Consistently mid, the Steelers' way. It's not surprising that they think Rooney is cheap, since they still practice at St. Vincent College. They don't even have their own practice facility. But honestly, in Pittsburgh, where would they put it? There's no room for anything. Number 29, New York Jets, down 8 from number 21. Apparently, Woody Johnson made things worse for the team after they turned in their report cards. It says, for example here, he didn't retain their highest-rated staff member, who was their dietitian, and he's now thriving in Kansas City, making the best goddamn waffles in that Best Western hot lobby. Maybe Woody Johnson's the worst owner in the league. He ranked 32nd in every category besides the one Tepper led, where he was 31st. The carpet Joe Namath walked on is still in the locker room, for God's sake. Number 30, Cleveland Browns, down 7 from number 23. The Browns complain that the training room is short-staffed, but that's only because they have to keep the numbers down for potential Deshaun Watson victims. The players meet their families under a tent in the parking lot, while coaches meet their families inside after games, like rounding them up on a farm and putting them in a pen. Jesus. No wonder Myles Garrett wants out. All right, number 31, New England Patriots, down 2 from number 29. The Pats got an F in the weight room and team travel, and a D for ownership. This is quite possibly the second most egregious quip on all the report cards. There is no Wi-Fi, and there are still ashtrays in the armrest of the Patriots plane. You know what? I criticized Mayo instead of reviewing film with the other coaches after their post-bye week loss to Arizona, but maybe he just couldn't. That's an angle that I never thought of. You know what? Complain all you want, but the Air Force 12 is all reliable. I don't want to hear any bitching. I don't want to hear any moaning when your plane falls out of the sky or rolls over on the tarmac. I don't want to hear any of it. They're building a new training facility with an emphasis on the weight room, and Kraft is making all the right decisions so far to improve the team. So I am hoping that we at least end up in the top half of the rankings next year. And last but not least, number 32, the Arizona Cardinals, down 5 for number 27. Arizona sitting at the bottom of the lobby with Kyler behind the sticks. He had to have been part of that 24% that said the locker room was an adequate size. For the most part, everything needs to be upgraded, and the players think the owner stinks, leading them to dead last. So really, it seems to be nice new facilities that really drive the rankings. Owner is weighted the heaviest on the report card, so I think a lot of the players associate new facilities with the owners being willing to spend. I think the Commanders have a real shot to be number one whenever their new stadium is built if they keep this up. The only other thing that I got out of this is that no weight room has enough space whatsoever. All right, that took a bit, but that was fun. I like doing that. Hell yeah, let's make that a yearly thing. I knew this was going to be a long one, so there is really no extracurricular stuff here. Man, MLB The Show next week, March Madness in 2 weeks. It's going to be a good March. All right, everybody. Make sure to leave a like and comment on each video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hoagies and Pierogis is available wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram for clips throughout the week, and we'll leave you with this. Munch. Oh, another thing. I'm wearing this jersey today. It actually fucking fits me because I haven't been drinking for a while. But it's a Jamie Collins jersey, and I got it the day before he was traded from the Patriots to the Browns. Actually, now that I mentioned it, I think I've told that on here before.
Live from Central Pennsylvania with your host Ian DiCarlo, this is Hoagies and Pierogis.
The ski stash! The ski stash! Welcome to the Big Ten. Beezer's going drink, man. Let's go!